Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from Ascot Racecourse here on Saturday. It is the 15th of October, 2022. Going to look at all the races here on British Champions Day. But before I get on to that, remember to please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5 for more selections for race courses around the world. We have 6 races to look at, all championship races. Let's get to it right now. Starting off with the 125, the opener from Ascot, which is the Group 2 British Champions Long Distance Cup. It's Group 2 event for Class 1 horses, going for a $675,000 purse. Races for 3-year-olds and upwards. We have 8 horses going 3,200 meters or 2 miles on the turf course. I'm going to take here the number 7 horse, Elder Eldavrov, as a top selection. Let's go 7-2-5 in your TriCash trifecta. 7-2-5 TriCash trifecta. Top selection 7 horse Elder Eldarov. 3-year-old colt by DeBowie. Roger Varian trains this one. David Egan gets the leg up. The horse's most recent appearance came the 11th of September at Doncaster, yielding ground 1 mile 13/16 in the Group 1 St. Ledger, and he was a winner, winning by 2 lengths that day. Ran the career best speed figure. He sat back early. He was on the drive, getting to the front of the pack, quickened up nicely and a little bumping, but he got the job done. He stayed the trip well. Off the refreshing, I thought it was a very good race. Going to a 2-mile trip, facing older horses for the first time in a little bit. I think he's on the up and up to get the victory today. 2 back in the Group 1 Grand Prix de Paris at Longchamp, a mile and a half on the 14th of July. He finished 4th by 5 1/4 lengths that day, and he just kind of started and got overtaken. The winner ran much better than him, and then prior to that in the Group 2 Queen's Vase here at over Royal Ascot, mile 3/4 on the 15th of June, winning by a nose that day. He didn't break all that well and was way out of it, but he slowly moved his way up, and David Egan, rode the horse to a veteran ride for the young guy. He timed the race perfectly. He got there in nick of time. An all-around good race from there. And off the bench at Newcastle, mile 1/4 in a Class 5 novice, winning by 2 1/4 lengths. He was a little bit wide that day, but he got good position out of the gate to get over, and he got the job done. Coming here today on the up and up at 5-2, let's use him. To recount my selection for the 125, the first race from Ascot's to Group 2 British Champions Long Distance Cup. Let's take the 7 horse Eldarov. I'm going to go 7-2-5, TriCash trifecta, in the Champions Long Distance Cup. To the second race at 2 o'clock from Ascot, it is the Group 1 British Champions Sprint Stakes. It's a Group 1 event for Class 1 horses, going for a $675,000 purse. Race for 3-year-olds and upwards. 18 horses are going 1,200 meters or 6 furlongs on the turf course. I'm going to take the 8 horse Kinross as a top selection. Let's go 8-3-10 in your TriCash trifecta. 8-3-10 TriCash trifecta. Top selection 8 horse Kinross. This 5-year-old gun by Kingman. Ralph Beckett trains. Frankie Dettori gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came nearly 2 weeks ago at a Longchamp on heavy ground. 7 furlongs in the Group 1 Prix de la Forêt, and the horse won by 2 lengths that day. And from a wide poster, he got great position out of the gate. He slowly moved his way up, and he got the job done, going away at 7 furlongs. I thought it was a good race. He likes the white ground. He's going to see a little give in the ground. I like the stance draw with him, and I think he could really go away with it. Biggest question with him will be the distance. He's 2-0 over the 6, so that might be a little bit of a thing with him. 2 back, he ran at Doncaster on the 11th of September, soft ground, 7 furlongs in the Group 2 Park Stakes, and he won by length, and at 83 cents a dollar, he stalked, he got the lead, and then he took off clear. He could have probably won by more, but Frankie didn't want to kill the poor thing. It was an all-around great race. And then at York on the 20th of August, 7 furlongs fast ground in the Group 2 City of York Stakes. He won by 1/4 lengths that day. He stalked, and again, he got the job done. A very, very good race. All summer long, he's really been running these good races. His only subpar race was in the Platinum Jubilee here in the fall, where he just never got going from a mid-pack position. That was over the 6th, and the ground was lightning fast. He likes the give in the ground. He's going to get the give in the ground today. It wouldn't surprise me if he freaks. The 3-horse Creative Force for William Buick and Godolphin, I think he's your second likeliest winner. He won this race last year all out in a force. Came back to run a very disappointing race in the Alquois Sprint in the spring at Maidan, and then came back to run a very good second behind Naval Crown in the Platinum Jubilee. Hasn't been seen since the July Cup, where he really ran a disappointing race, but he does well on the soft ground. It wouldn't surprise me at 5-2. A definite use in your plays pot. To recount my selection for the 2 o'clock, the second race from Ascot, it's the Group 1 British Champion Sprint Stakes. Let's take the 8 horse Kinross. Give kudos to the 3 horse Creative Force. 8-3-10 TriCash trifecta. 8-3 in that plays pot. The third race now, the 240. It is the Group 1 British Champions Fillies Mayor Stakes. It's a Group 1 event for Class 1 horses going for a $675,000 purse. Race for 3-year-olds and upwards. Fillies Mayors only. 14 horses are contesting 2,400 meters or a mile and a half on the turf course. Let's take the 4-horse Lilac Road as top selection. 4-11-2 for me in your TriCast trifecta. 4-11-2 TriCast trifecta. Top selection of 4-horse Lilac Road. 4-year-old filly by Master Craftsman. William Haggis trains. Kieran Fowling gets the mounts. The horse's most recent outing came the 11th of September at Longchamp. Soft ground, a mile and a half in the Group 1 Prix Vermeil Stakes, and he finished second by a head that day. And the horse stalked that day was on the drive, but it was excelling. The winner, Sweet Lady, had the jump on this horse, but she didn't run half bad. Coming here, it's another tough spot, but she should get a good trip. She should like the soft going, and she should definitely like the mile and a half. I think she's up to par to run and get a good race against these fancy ladies. Two back in the Group 1 Yorkshire Oaks at York, a mile and a half on the 18th of August. She finished fourth by 5 1/4 lengths. The winner freaked that day. This horse sat back early. She moved a little bit late, but she just wasn't catching the freaky horse that day. And then the Group 1 Nassau Stakes at Goodwood over the mile and a quarter, 28th of July. First off the long refreshing, she finished third by 2 1/4 lengths that day. And, she just kind of stalked and, had a little bit of bumping going into the lane. She moved a little bit, but I do think she's a better mile and a half horse. And then the Group 2 Middleton Stakes at York, a mile and a quarter on the 12th of May. She finished, she won by half a length that day, and she basically, from a track position, she won quite nicely. She's making her Ascot debut, shouldn't be a problem. I like the low poster, especially going a mile and a half. Definitely can handle a little give in the ground. I'm going to use her here. I think the 11-horse Emily Upjohn also could run a good race here. Back to facing the Phillies, most recently facing the boys locally in the King George over in July. She finished 6th by 25 lengths that day, and she just really wanted to go, but Frankie didn't want to let her go, and that was the end of it. She completely walked in the line. You saw a very tired and defeated horse there, refreshing to soft ground against these horses. If she could run a quarter of the race she ran in the Oaks in defeat, she could definitely win this race. Her Oaks, where she, she didn't break well. If she would have broke, she probably would have won by a country mile, but she didn't break well. She just missed late. Tuesday got to her, but she ran her heart out there. Won the Musadora very nicely and won a Sandown in the spring very nicely. She's going to have to overcome a wide poster, but she has the ability to do that. 7-2, definitely using your plays pot, but the long refreshing is a question with her. To recount my selection for the 243rd race from Ascot's to Group 1, British Champions Filly Mare Stakes, let's take as a top selection to 4-horse Lilac Road. Give kudos to 11-horse Emily Upjohn. 4-11-2 TriCast trifecta. 4-11 in your place pot. The fourth race, the 320 now from Ascot. It is the Group 1 Queen Elizabeth II Stakes. It's a Group 1 event going for Class 1 horses, going for a purse of $1.5 million, race for 3-year-olds and upwards. 9 horses are contesting 1,600 meters or a mile on the turf course. I'm going to take here the number 9 horse Inspiral as a top selection. Let's go 9-5-2 in the TriCast trifecta. 9-5-2 TriCast trifecta. Top selection 9 horse Inspiral. This 3-year-old filly by Frankel. Jonathan Gazin trains. Frankie Dettori gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came in the Group 1 Prix Jacques Maurice at Deauville, 1 mile on the 14th of August, and the horse won by a neck that day, and she sat back early. When she got the lead, she had to be used a lot, but she got the job done. Coming off the break after a tough race shouldn't be a problem. She definitely handled the wet going. I like the stand side poster up. I think she could really run a good race here today. 2 back at Newmarket in the Group 1 Falmouth Stakes, 1 mile on the July course on the 8th of July. She finished second by 1 3/4 lengths, and at 14 cents to the dollar, she probably should have won. She just kind of stalked, and she never really got going. That 3-week period in late June between Ascot and the July meeting at July Cup meeting at Newmarket, Frankie rode some very weird head scratcher races. That was one of them. I thought the horse should have been just a little bit more into it early on, which she wasn't. It just wasn't her day to win. And then before that, in the Group 1 Coronation Stakes at Ascot, 1 mile on the 17th of June, she won by 4 3/4 lengths that day. And, she stalked, she got the lead. And, even after not the best beginnings, she got the job done, closing up well. And then before that, in last year's Philly Mile, she won by 2.5 lengths. And again, freaked on the yielding ground, an all-around good race. Coming here today, if she breaks, she could definitely win at 4-5. We'll use her. The 5-horse, the Revenant also could win. This old man, Ron Ryan Moore gets on this one for Francis Gaffard. Most recently in the Group 2 Prix, Daniel Wildenstein at Long Shot over the mile on the 1st of October. He finished second by 1/4 lengths that day, and he's closing up that day, but the winner freaked. Before then, the Prix de Moulin de Longchamp, the horse definitely needed the race. Finished third that day, first race back from April. Come back to Ascot, where the horses ran decently in this race last year. See a little quicker ground. It wouldn't surprise me at 5-1, but to recount my selection for the 420, the fourth race, or excuse me, 320 from Ascot, the fourth race, it's the Group 1 Queen Elizabeth II Stakes. As a top selection, we'll take the 9-horse Inspiral, give kudos to the 5-horse The Revenant, 9-5-2 Tri-Cash Trifecta, 9-5 in your place pot. The fifth race, the featured 4 o'clock from Ascot. It's the Group 1 Champion Stakes. It's Group 1 event for Class 1 horses, going for a purse of just over $1.7 million, $1.75 million. Is this race for 3-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of 9 horses going 2,000 meters, or 1.25 miles on the turf course. Gonna take the 2-horse Baid as a top selection. Let's go at 283 in your Tri-Cash Trifecta. 283 Tri-Cash Trifecta, top selection of 2-horse Baid. This 4-year-old colt by See the Stars, William Haggis trains, Jim Crowley gets the leg up. The horse's most recent outing came to the Jumpman International at York over the mile 5/16, winning by 6.5 lengths, and he sat back early, and then when he got to the good gallop, there was no stopping him. He didn't even have the lead when he got the good gallop, and he just took off clear. Probably the best race, one of the best races I've seen of a racehorse run this season, and probably so far in this decade. An all-around good race. Coming here, he's going to have to handle the soft ground, but I think he could really run a good race. 2 back in the Sussex at Goodwood, 1 mile on the 27th of July, winning by 1 3/4 lengths that day. And again, he sat back early, again, slowly moved his way up. He just kept going, an all-around easy victory. And then the Queen Anne, a race he had to be used a lot over the mile. He won by 1 3/4 lengths that day, and he stalked. He had to be used, like I said, he was under the drive, but he got the job done. He made you bite your lips a little late, but he still got the job done. And then the lock-in Newberry over the mile sees no reappearance, winning by 3 1/4 lengths that day. And again, nobody's catching him that day. Going to the mile and a quarter shouldn't be a problem. The soft ground shouldn't be a problem. He won on the soft stuff last year locally. 1 to 2. I know it's a short price. If there could be an upset, and I really mean possible slight upset, the 8-horse My Prospero could possibly upset. He was winner in the Group 2 Prix Eugene Adam at Saint-Cloud in July, but he'll have to really freak to win here today. I don't really see anybody beating Baid in this race. But to recount my selection for the 5th, the 4 o'clock from Ascot, it's the Group 1 Champion Stakes. Let's take the 2-horse Baid. 283 for me in your Tri-Cash Trifecta. The 6th race, the 440 from Ascot now. It is the Balmoral Handicap. It's Class 2 Handicap, going for a purse $270,000. Race for 3-year-olds and upwards. 23 horses were entered, but only 20 could go 1,600 meters or a mile on the Ascot turf course. Let's take the 13-horse Blue for You. 13-2 in your Forecast Exacta for me. 13-2 Forecast Exacta. Top selection of 13-horse Blue for You. 4-year-old Gelding by New Approach. David O'Meara trains one. Daniel Thudhope gets the leg up. The horse's most recent outing came on the 1st of October here at Ascot. 7 furlongs on a Class 2 Heritage Handicap, and he finished 7th by 4.5 lengths that day. And he just had a bit of a weird run that day. He never got going from the mid pack that day. He was on the drive and just not excelling. I do think he might need the race. First start in 7 weeks. Coming back here with a quick turnaround, a little bit of a lower weight over the mile, drawn on the stand side. I'm going to give him another shot. 2 back in a Heritage Handicap at York, 1 mile on the 18th of August. That was in the Clever Logistics Handicap. He won by head that day, and he sat back early. He had a very troubled trip, but he got there in nick of time. After all said and done, I thought it was decently run. And then at Goodwood on the 29th of July, 1 mile in a Class 2 Handicap. He finished 2nd by 3 1/4 lengths that day, and he stalked. Again, he had a very troubled trip. He just couldn't squeeze through. He was second best. With a better trip, he would have made the race interesting. But I thought it was he had just a troubled trip there. And then a few days prior at York, 1 mile in a Class 3 Handicap, stepping down in class, he finished 2nd by neck. He had a little bit of a weight break a little bit of a heavy weight that day. He didn't break so well, which probably cost him with the small margin of victory. But coming here with a quick turnaround, better post draw, could definitely handle a little wet going. At 6-1, I'm going to use him. I think you also have to use the 2-horse here, who is the Migration, the 2-horse. William Bukes on this one. Most recently at Newbury in April in a Class 2 Handicap. He finished 2nd by a neck that day, and he just couldn't get there from the back of the pack. He was closing up well, but just a little bit too late. He's coming off a long refreshing, but he could definitely handle the wet going. it wouldn't surprise me if he wins here. Like I said, his even defeat that speed figure was very strong. But to recap my selection for the 6 to 440 from Ascot, it's Balmoral Handicap. Let's take the 13 horse Blue for you. Give kudos to the 2 horse Migration, 13-2 Forecast Exacta. Use them both in your play spot. Why not? So good luck to all, and please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5. Good luck, everybody.